So you want to become a millionaire before the age 30? Well, hang on, I got some tips for you. Before we get started, full disclosure, I myself am not a millionaire, but I am projected to make about 6 figures this year, and I'm 23 years old, and there's a pretty good possibility that I'll be one in the next 3 years or so by the age of 26. So these are just some of the tips that I've used and some of the tips that I've seen from wealthy entrepreneurs that I've had the fortune of talking to over the past 5 years. Anyways, I think that we should get started here with the very first tip. Number 1, what do I have written down here? Oh yeah, that's right. This is a big one here, and this one changed my life, which is don't settle and focus on earning. What do I mean by that? A lot of you watching this, under the age of 35, a lot of you are in college, are in high school, maybe you're 25 years old, 26 years old. If you're 29 years old and you aren't even close to becoming a millionaire, this probably isn't going to help you this video, because you're going to have like 8 months to become a millionaire. So I can't really help you out with that. You know, maybe go win the lottery or something, or start a great business, or make a viral video or a great app or something. But anyways, what I mean by don't settle and focus on earning. So when I was in university and in like second year university, I did have some nice passive income that was coming in, but I fully expected straight out of university to make $40,000 a year at some research job, or even $30,000 a year or $35,000 a year at some, science research job that's what I probably would have went into. Or some, nursing job. I probably wouldn't have been a nurse, or just something like that. I was expecting that I would go into some sort of normal job straight out of university. And then I remember, I've told this story before, that Grant Cardone said during one of his podcasts, he talked about real estate investing, and I always wanted to be a real estate investor. I just assumed that I would have to make $40,000 a year and save up, and maybe I could start investing in real estate when I'm like 28 or 29 or 30 years old. And then he said something along the lines of, you can become a real estate investor whenever you want, you just gotta make more money. And I know it was so stupid and so simple, but that really changed my mind about my career path and what I wanted to do with my life. So I told this story before, I was at the gym listening to that podcast. I went straight home and I signed up to get my real estate license to become a real estate agent. And I just wasn't going to settle for some $30,000 to $35,000 to $40,000 a year job. And I signed up for a job where I could potentially make hundreds of thousands of dollars, and there was no cap on how much money I could make when you're a real estate agent. And so I'd want you to think about focusing on earning and focus on getting into jobs or some sort of career where there's no cap on your earning, or maybe where you can get a bunch of bonuses or get commissions. That's generally where you have a higher chance at increasing your income versus just staying at some sort of stable $30,000, $35,000, $40,000 a year job. So focus on earning. And don't settle for just some sort of normal job like I was going to. And I'm so glad I listened to that podcast, or else I wouldn't be here talking to you about all this business stuff. I wouldn't have started any of those successful businesses that I did. So we're going to keep going here. Number two, oh yeah, this one's super obvious. But something that almost all millionaires have in common that aren't doctors or lawyers is multiple income streams. This one's you've probably heard before. But the average millionaire has anywhere between 5 and 7 income streams. Generally, these are sorted into 1 or 2 primary ones, sometimes 3 primary ones like I have. And then they'll have 2 to 4 other kinds of income streams, which will bring in just a little bit of money every single month. So I'm going to give you an example of what some of those income streams would be for maybe an average person or someone that's projected to become a millionaire by the age 30. So we're going to say you're 20 years old and you have 10 years where you become a millionaire, and you have zero net worth when you're 20 years old, like a lot of people do. A lot of people have a negative net worth because they have student loan debt and they don't have any assets, so they actually have negative net worth. Anyways, so to become a millionaire by the age 30, after taxes, you're going to essentially have to make $100,000. And let's just say that this person is some generic job, like they're a consultant, so they have a potential to make a high amount of money without a flat salary. So let's just say this person's a consultant and their consulting work brings in $50,000 a year after taxes, which is one of their primary sources of income. Maybe they do speaking gigs, so that brings in $20,000 a year after taxes. Maybe they have some sort of YouTube channel or something like that, which would bring in, I don't know, $10,000 after taxes. So those would be their three primary sources of income. Their three main income streams, which would add up to, you know, $70,000, $80,000, something along the lines of that. But typically you'd see some other smaller sources of passive income coming in, which would add up to about $20,000. So we're talking about stuff like dividends from stocks or capital gains from stocks, or maybe you invested in some sort of app, or you do affiliate marketing on the side, or just some sort of side jobs like that. Maybe you sell online courses or sell products online or something. Just, you know, those are some of the typical side income streams of a lot of people. But one thing I just want you to keep in mind is that, yeah, there's three primary ones, but plus all of them don't have a cap on how much you can make. So we're going to go back to don't settle and focus on earning. None of them have a cap. You're not capped off at $40,000 a year for any of them. And a large portion of people who become millionaires before the age 30, they're not even doctors or lawyers. They're just self-employed people or people who start their own businesses. I mean, what's the highest paying job in the world or North America? It's like a neurosurgeon, right? You make $40,000 a year, but to become a neurosurgeon or an anesthesiologist or something like that, you don't even start becoming one until you're like 30 years old anyway. So even if you were to become one at like 28 years old, you would still have to pay back a lot of debt. Plus, you would only have made like $800,000 in 2 years, so you wouldn't become a millionaire. So what I'm trying to say here is that you're probably going to have to become self-employed too and have multiple streams of income if you do want to become a millionaire before the age 30. Now we're going to move on here to number 3. Don't save. Oh, this is a weird one. Don't save, invest. Don't save, invest. So theoretically, if your primary sources of income are hundreds of thousands of dollars per year and you're 20-something years old, yeah, you can save up all your money and become a millionaire, but you are more likely to become a millionaire by investing a substantial portion of your income. Something I don't really mention in a lot of my videos actually is that I don't keep a lot of my money in my checking account. I invest a substantial portion of whatever I make back into any of my businesses. And that's the other thing too, like you can invest in stocks, you can invest in real estate, but it's best if you have the multiple streams of income and you have a side business going, it's best to invest in that because you can potentially have a higher return on investment, which would potentially make you richer a lot quicker and wealthier a lot quicker to become a millionaire before the age 30. Because if you invest in the stock market, you invest $1,000 here, $1,000 there, you can probably get a good return of 6 to 15% on any given year unless you hit a recession. But that's not going to substantially increase your chances of becoming a millionaire by the age 30. It might increase your chances, of going from $900,000 by the age 30 to $1 million at the age 30, or $800,000 to $1 million or something like that. But for example, if you were to invest $5,000 or $1,000 in your side business, and it's all in advertising and marketing, and you bring in $10,000 of revenue or $20,000 of revenue, which is, trust me, that is really easy to do, that'll make you wealthier quicker than putting in stocks. It does require a lot more work. So back to here, don't save your money. Invest it, and preferably invest in some sort of business or side business that you got going. Number 4, don't buy anything that rusts, rots, or loses value. What do I mean by that? So let's just say you're getting rich, your businesses are taking off, you're making 6 figures, and you're gonna become a millionaire by the age 30, so you're like, you know what, I deserve something nice. Let's buy a nice car, a $40,000 car, $50,000 car. Do you know what happens the second you take that car off the lot? You lose about $10,000 to $20,000 of value. It becomes used overnight. And this applies to a lot of just consumer products, like anything from clothes to, whatever, designer purses or even, furniture, any kind of consumer good loses value the second you buy it. And I know, everyone kind of wants that new TV or that new gaming system or that new video game, and it's okay to occasionally get one of those, but so many people that get stuck in the middle class or stuck being poor, a lot of the times they blow their money on stuff that they don't need. Like I know so many people, they'll go to a store and they'll blow 80, it's not even big transactions. It's not TVs or designer stuff. A lot of the times it's going and buying a $10 thing here, a $20 thing there, a $30 thing there that you don't need. And it's just every time you go out, it adds up. It adds up and adds up and adds up. So this doesn't just apply to big purchases like cars or even crappy houses, or something that just loses value right away. This applies to anything. I mean, it's okay to occasionally, every 3 months or something, to go out and get something cheap and nice for yourself that you'll enjoy for a few weeks and then forget about. But you can't go out and get stuff like that every day, every few days, every week, or even every month. It's just something that you should do very, very rarely. And you can use that money that you don't spend on stupid items that lose value. You can use that money to invest. So we're going to move on to number 5 here, and this can really accelerate your wealth and your investing capability, but it's not for everyone, especially if you don't know what you're doing, but this can really help. It is use debt and leverage. When I was a very young, 13, 14, 15-year-old, I didn't really understand the concept of debt. So I went up to my dad one day and asked him, why do people get a mortgage and borrow money to buy a home, like, if they can't afford it? Shouldn't you just save up and buy it eventually? And he just said these words, which is number 5 here. It's, you use a mortgage, you use debt to get ahead. That's the purpose of debt, specifically good debt. Bad debt, like car loans, that keeps you behind. That doesn't accelerate your wealth and your income potentially. So good debt, what do I mean by that? How does it make you get ahead? So again, if you were to pay cash for an investment property, we'll just stick to something like that, like a $500,000 investment property, you'd have to wait to save up many, many years to have $500,000 in the bank to afford that investment property. But if you were to borrow some debt, borrow some money, what you can do is you only need $100,000 and you can borrow $400,000 to purchase that property and have some extra cash flow. If you do it all property, you'll make whatever, $500 a month on that property. And so now your income increases by $500 a month simply because you borrowed that money. And this applies to a lot of stuff too. You can borrow money to start a business, although I don't recommend that a lot. You can borrow money. People don't know this. You can leverage stocks. You can it depends on your bank and your brokerage, all that kind of stuff. But you can leverage your stock buying. So you can, for example, if you want to invest $100 in a stock, but you only have $50, you can, ask the bank or brokerage, hey, can I borrow $50 to invest in this stock? And they can say yes. But usually the condition is, if this stock loses value, you have to pay us back right away, kind of thing. But yeah, you can leverage your investments. And so using debt in a good way can really help you accelerate your chances of becoming a millionaire a few years into the future. So we're going to go back to our example of the 20-year-old. Let's just say that person was destined to become a millionaire by the age of 33. If they were to do everything the exact same, except use debt to get a little bit ahead, that can probably knock them up about 3 years to the age 30 if you do it all correctly. But I just want to say before we move on, only take out debt to get yourself ahead, only if you know what you're doing. A lot of the times people will take out debt to try to get ahead but don't really know what they're doing, and it ends up setting them back a few years instead of putting them a few years ahead. So we're going to move on here to number 6. Simple, one word, mentor. Find a mentor. For whatever field you are in, find a successful person and latch yourself to that person, or shadow them like I did. I shadowed a few people, one specifically for on and off for about 4 or 5 years, and that helped teach me so much about real estate and making money and what it's like to run different kinds of companies, like restaurants and real estate companies and finance companies and a bunch of other companies. But for you might be in a career where you're, I don't know, an account manager at some bank making $40,000 a year. Well, go to the person go to your boss. Go and ask them questions a lot. Go and hang out with them. The person who's making $150,000 a year. Go and ask them questions. Ask them how they got to the position they're in now. What do they do at their job? And yeah, just shadow them and see what you can do to get yourself to that position or even higher one day. And that's something that's really important. So find a mentor, and that can be really big to help increase your potential future income. Now, are we going to fit the last one here on the camera? I don't know. If I can't, I'll just say it out loud anyways, like I always do. Number 7. Oh yeah. Here we go. This is one of the big ones here. So number 7 is learn how to sell something. And it doesn't even have to be your own products. You don't have to create your own product, but the vast majority of people who become millionaires are people that sell something in some way, whether it's through starting their own business or selling someone else's product or selling real estate or selling something by commission, selling people like in multi-level marketing networks, or anything like that. You're pretty much almost certainly going to have to learn how to sell something if you do want to become a millionaire by the age 30 or within the next decade or so, and you have zero net worth right now. You're probably going to need to learn how to sell something. And now I don't have a sales course or anything right now, but I do know a lot of people that are good at selling. And I myself, I know how to sell stuff too. I was in real estate for a long time, but I'm not the typical salesperson. Like, I don't go through scripts or anything like that, or when I cold call people, I'm pretty honest, and I'm not pushy. I don't go through any of that normal sales training. Maybe I should make a sales course one day, because my ways worked, but they aren't the typical like cold calling scripts that you would see like online and stuff. But there's plenty of sales programs out there right now that you can look at if you do want to learn how to sell something. Like I know Grant Cardone has one. I'm sure that there's a bunch of other online people that have sales programs out there, but from what I heard, actually, he has a pretty good one. So you might want to check that one out. But why is selling something so important? It's because that's what makes you the most valuable person at your company. Or if it's not your own business, just at the company you work at. It's kind of funny. I think it was Mark Cuban that said, you can get a job at any company you want if you are the best salesman that they have. And so something that I recommend is, depending on what company you work at, go to your boss or go to management or something and say, hey, look, can I do some of the sales work on the side and potentially pick up a commission if I end up selling stuff? And so you can, whatever your job is, I always give if you're a website designer or something like that, you can say, hey, look, can I pick up even like a 5% commission if I do a sale for X at this company? And a lot of the times they'll say yes, as long as they still make a good profit at the company, they're probably going to be willing to make you a part-time salesperson, and that can significantly increase your income. So whether you want to learn how to sell something for your own business or for the business that you work at, it can make you a very valuable part of the company, and it can potentially increase your income to make you a millionaire before the age of 30. So I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I think that's going to wrap it up. Do you have any questions, concerns, anything like that? Leave a comment below. Do you have any tips for becoming a millionaire before the age 30? Leave a comment below. So I'd like to, again, thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people. I'll see you guys in the next video.